Welcome everyone to the Larsonland podcast. I'm your host, Sawyer Hill, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Dylan Bradshaw. We come in here every single week and talk about all things involving the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Young Money, Kyle Larson. Dylan, pretty good weekend at Pocono for me. Wish you could have been there, but first, I'd like to start the show off by saying a huge thanks to Blaine Anderson, obviously for having me come out to the race, and then Mike and Janet Larson for everything that they did over the weekend. I kind of had some pretty cool opportunities this weekend. Got to sit atop the number 5 pit box for the race on Sunday. Probably a lot of fans' dream to get to do something like that, and it was a really cool time getting to sit up there next to Kyle's dad, talk to him throughout the race, kind of hear his perspective on things. Just a really cool day, but obviously a bummer finish for Kyle at the end of the day.
Yeah, crazy weekend at Pocono. It seems every week that there's something controversial happening, which gives us something to talk about. Whether it's good or bad, it gives us something to talk about. So, obviously the news of the weekend is with Hamlin and Larson there at the end. But before we get into that, I mean, starting off the race, Larson started third. He was pretty quick. He got tangled up with Bell in an early restart, sent him to the back. He was coming in turn one. Bell bumped him going into turn one, and he fell all the way back, spun out. And through strategy call, he made his way back up. As we know, it's pretty difficult to pass there, Pocono and dirty air. So through the strategy, got him back up there, got things moving, and then typical Hamlin fashion, just gotta pull a scumbag move as usual. It's the second time this year with Hamlin-Larson. Just a handful of times this year. Bristol Dirt with Ryan Preece and Larson, Dover with Chastain, Darlington with Chastain, Kansas with Hamlin, Pocono now with Hamlin again. It's never ending, and it's annoying. This 5 team, they're working so hard every week to get the car ready. They put on a great race, played the strategy nicely yesterday, as I said, and it's just all just ruined by a scumbag move. There's no passing, and guys like Hamlin, they can just do that, run Larson up on the wall. He swears that there was no contact. I think that's one of the biggest points with the debate. It did seem like there was some contact, whether or not there was. He did run him up the wall
Yeah.
nonetheless, and he benefited from it. But yeah, I mean, just hypocritical on Hamlin's part. He can do it to everyone, but it can't happen to him. I mean, I remember going back to 2021 when Bowman got that Martinsville win, and he's just sitting there running his car into Bowman, stopping him from doing a burnout. So it's all take and no give. I don't know if Larson's going to do anything. Cliff Daniels, he was pretty pissed off about it, but he said that it's ultimately Larson's decision whether or not he wants to retaliate or race him aggressively in the future. We know Larson's not too aggressive of a driver, so we'll see. But there's only so many times you can piss a guy off and ruin his day, and he's just messing with his results.
Yeah, I mean it's Denny definitely. I mean, like you said, it seems like every single time something happens like this, no matter who it is, whether it's Kyle or some other driver out there, it's the same story. It's never Denny's fault. Denny's always in the right, and I mean, if that's the way he wants to race, that's the way he can race. But I just hope that moving forward, like people see the other drivers see like that if you're starting on the front row at the end of the race with Denny Hamlin, you better consider that when you decide which lane you're going to choose on the restart, and you better race him just like he races you, because I think Kyle was really a sitting duck on that restart. You had Reddick just a row back that was on four fresh tires that pitted on the cycle or the stop right before then, or right before the caution that came out. He was on fresh tires and waiting to pounce on those guys from row number two. I think he was on the inside with Hamlin, and then Hamlin just ran Kyle up the track. And like you said, no matter regardless of whether there was contact or not, he still forced him up the track. I think that's a mute point really from Denny, and listening to him talk on his show, his podcast today. I think that you still run a guy up the track like that, you drive in too deep and force him into the wall. Anytime the guy on the outside of you has to run into the wall to not hit you, I think it's still counts as him causing that incident.
Yeah, and I just saw a quote. I'll read it from Martin Truex because I mean he was up there battling. He said, "I did exactly what Denny did. he kind of took it that extra, make it a little dirty, and I didn't. So maybe that's the difference why he won and I didn't. I mean, obviously all these other drivers in the field are seeing that, and that's the thing. I mean, people wanted to talk about Kansas. Whether or not that was a racing incident doesn't matter. This was just straight up running a guy into the wall. He didn't want to race at all because he just doesn't want to be threatened for the lead. He just wants to, take a guy out and just smooth sailing. And then at the end of the race, there was a spin out and they're just sitting there waiting just 20 minutes to throw the caution until they crossed the line to call the race. I don't know. I didn't like that call. Any other race, they're just pretty immediate with throwing the flag out. They're
Yeah, I
throwing the
thought that was a
flag out.
little weird.
Yeah,
We
they're
were
just
ki-
like, what'd you
we
say?
were kind of just sitting, like I was sitting there on top of the box with Kyle's dad, and we were kind of it was kind of like a weird moment there. Like everybody's kind of sitting there waiting for to see what's gonna happen. Like they weren't throwing the caution on the big screen. They were showing the car. Who was it? Priest that was spun, I think it was,
I
or
think.
I can't remember who it was. It might have been Priest, but whoever it was that was spun, they just sat there and sat there and sat there, and it was like, why are they not throwing the caution? Like, what is going on here? Like, are they gonna let Denny just win the race, or what's the deal? Because normally we would have seen a caution there in a restart, and it would have been NASCAR overtime if it was Kyle Larson in the lead. But it seems like it was a little bit different yesterday.
Hey, maybe that's just a little give to Denny after the disqualification last year for the tape. Maybe that was just a little payback, give him the win. But yeah, it's just really annoying at this point. Like I said, I listed off all the names of the guys with the incidents. It's every single week Larson gets screwed, and he's racing good. Like I said, strategically got his car up the track, and not a lot of other guys could make their way back up. And I think he restarted, I don't know, 20th, 21st, somewhere around there, after he got wrecked by Bell. So very impressive. Showed a lot of speed yesterday at
Yeah, farther
Pocono.
back than that. Yeah,
Yeah, farther back than that. So impressive nonetheless. It just sucks that he couldn't at least get a top two finish. We got lucky at Kansas with that when him and Hamlin had that run in. At least he finished with the second place. But
car was
that
destroyed.
restart, yeah, that the car was destroyed. That restart, absolutely no help on that inside line. Fell all the way back. Couldn't get in the outside line. Fell all the way back to 21st. So just terrible day. It definitely should have ended better than that.
For sure, and you gotta feel bad for the whole team. I mean, it's been obviously, 2 wins, 2 regular season wins plus the All Star win for Kyle. It's been a good year by you know for a NASCAR season. I mean, three wins. It's not that bad, but I mean, you look at the 5 team compared to every other team out there. They've got to have witnessed or have had the most heartbreak of any team so far this year. I mean, I talked to just minutes after the race, went down and kind of chatted with Blaine, front tire changer, and man, it just you could see how bummed out he was, and the other guys on the team. They just, especially when those guys are having an awesome day. I mean, they are killing it on pit road, getting Kyle off pit road quick, and the strategy from Cliff Daniels was, I mean, amazing strategy taking the 2 tires there. I don't think anybody really expected that. Hamlin kind of copied the strategy and did the same thing a few laps later, taking the 2 tires. But everybody else did their job. Kyle did his job, and then it comes down to somebody else just messing it all up. And it's happened, like you said, so many times this year. And not only looking at just from Kyle's perspective, but from a lot of other drivers, these ends of the races this year have seemed like there's been more late race cautions than it has been ever. I mean, it's almost every single week there's a late race caution, and when we see that, we pretty much know there's going to be something stupid that happens. There's going to be somebody that runs into somebody driving in over their head into the first turn, and likely the person who's leading the race isn't going to be the one that ends up taking the checkered flag first.
Yeah, I think that was the most cautions at Pocono since I think 2005, and it was 2 laps away from being a record. Which I see the tweets a lot after all these weeks of racing, and it seems like they're breaking a lot of records lately, or getting close with the cautions at the in totality of the race. I mean, the cautions are just sky high this year. Just a lot of stupid stuff. There was actually a lot of other I don't know, hostile moments. Like I think Priest was the one that spun out, whether we were talking about later
Yeah,
earlier. I saw him on pit road. Security had to pull him from LaJoy. He was screaming at him. We saw Austin Dillon chuck a helmet at Reddick. So I mean,
missed.
there was, yeah, completely missed. I mean, he
we
threw
got a
it.
good laugh out of that one on the box.
Yeah, he threw it. Guy bounced it. Reddick kind of swerved out of the way. Just did not connect whatsoever. Um, yeah, but there was definitely its fair share of incidents that race, and just a lot of bonehead moves from some drivers.
Yeah, so I want to ask you, like I feel like from like being at the race, it's kind of hard to tell. Like the Denny move, you could definitely tell like that one was it was just outrageous. But with like what happened with Bell, like on that restart there, you texted me when it happened, and there were like two or three restarts right before that where Kyle got really good restarts. He got really good restarts and was beating Byron because Byron I think beat Kyle off of pit road at the end of stage one, and Kyle was restarting on the bottom, which was second place. And he got like two really good restarts in a row. And then I think that was the third one where Bell ultimately hit him, bumped him, and spun him out. Like, do you think that was could have been avoided, or do you think it was just a racing deal there with Seabell?
I don't know. Like they had NBC had the aerial shot on that restart, and I could just see it happen from my way because as soon as the cars jumped off, Bell he was kind of glued to his bumper a little bit. Gave him a little tap. Larson kind of wiggled, and then the other tap ultimately spun him out. But I don't know. I saw some voice scanner clips from Bell. You know, he kept apologizing, saying
Yeah.
I absolutely did not mean to do that. Bell is another one. He's not known to be a dirty driver, so maybe just I don't know, sent her a little too hard. I don't know what happened there, but I don't think there was any, ill will. Just again, unfortunate happened, but Larson made his way back up from that one. So, it's what matters at the end of the race. That one didn't really, ruin the day too much. The team got it together, got the strategy underway, but yeah, I don't think there was anything crazy with that. Just unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think anytime you get like three restarts back to back to back like that, you're gonna have like I know just sitting there, I was getting more and more nervous with each one because the first one Kyle got a really good jump on William and it looked like he was gonna clear him by a mile, out of turn one. And then the next one it was William, reacted a little bit differently. And then the third time it's like these guys have restarted around each other in the same positions for the third time in a row. They all have tried everything that they're going to do differently, so you know that it's going to be like chaotic. And going into turn one, it was just um, definitely not the sight you want to see with Kyle spinning around there. But luckily, didn't hurt the car at all really at that point. It was like you said, the end of the race and the incident with Hamlin that really mattered. So Hamlin picks up his second win of the season and passes up Larson in the playoff standings now. He's got one more playoff point than Kyle. So Kyle drops another spot in the playoff standings, but I think did end up gaining I think up to seventh place now in the regular season points. So not a horrible day. Kyle did pick up one playoff point for winning stage two. Kind of. I guess we got to talk about that too. That was kind of a crazy moment in the race too. At the end of stage two, where Kyle was gonna pit right before the end of that stage because they weren't gonna be able to make it on fuel, and then the caution came out, and they pretty much had no choice but to stay out there and win the stage. And they were limping that car to pit road. They were gonna run out of fuel, Dylan.
Yeah, it was crazy. I know Cliff, he was like screaming at him, telling him save fuel. And I saw one thing. By the time he got to pit lane, the car was kind of, stuttering a little bit. They were just running on fumes, barely got it to the stall. Luckily made it, but yeah, that definitely cut that one close. But ultimately didn't matter thanks to good old Denny Hamlin. We would have 10 more playoff points and two more wins if it weren't for the late race situations with Hamlin. I think that's what Larson said in his interview. But by the way, all time interview from Larson there. Good interview. Showed he was pissed off. Shouted out, the Highland race at Grandview. It'll be on Flow. He made sure to, capitalize on that. But yeah, all-time interview there from Larson.
Yeah, and looking forward to Grandview too. I mean, I'll be there tomorrow night. That's going to be a really good race. The first high limit race that we've had in a while. I mean, um, Kyle's still won three in a row with the series and comes in as the point leader. Macri sitting second in the standings. They're only 49 points behind, but a lot's changed in the sprint car world since the high limit series last ran on June 6th at the Eagle Raceway. Macri's no longer with his family's team, the 39M, and yeah, I think he's going to be racing the Indy Race Parts 71, which pretty much everybody's driven that car. It seems like this year, Dylan. I think we talked about that last week on the podcast, but Macri will be in that car, I think, for tomorrow night's race, and really gonna be interesting to see like how he does because I think that'll be I guess his first race in the 71 because he's running the 7BC on the All-Star Circuit of Champions side, filling in for Tyler Courtney, who's out with his injury. I think, and then we'll have who is it? Corey Day, I think, driving the 7BC. So lots of shakeups heading into this one tomorrow night.
Not even just high limit related, just in general. The other day it broke that Lance DeWeese was done with his car, which he was filling in for Macri when he abruptly stopped racing. So just tons of crazy stuff. Longtime guys just completely pulling out with their team. So yeah, I don't know what's going on in the sprint car world. I'm even going back to Buddy changing all those cars. There's just a ton of changes
Yeah.
this year. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but like you said, Larson headed into high limit, 3 wins in a row, still hot. Got that win at Lernerville last week, so going in with momentum from that. Just been lights out in the sprint car, fifth at the Kings Royal. He was fast at the million, until he got in that incident and ruined the car. But he's just been fast all year in the sprint car. He really has shown no signs of slowing down. We always talk. It's like a broken record. Larson and Rico, they seem to be the ones that are 1-2 punch this year. Rico just picked up a win at Williams Grove, so I think those are two of the guys to look out for. Heading into the stretch of high limit races.
Absolutely, and I was there for Rico's win at Williams Grove. He obviously was really fast there, and typical Williams Grove, hard to pass, and Rico kind of ran away with that one on Saturday night. Obviously, Friday night kind of a better finish. Logan Schuhart stealing the win out of the last turn for Brad Sweet there, but you look at Grandview and it's definitely a track that Kyle's good at. It's one of those shorter tracks and he's won there in the past during PA Speed Week and it's funny how we look at this high limit schedule and it's like it's really all like Kyle's favorite tracks and the tracks that he's really good at. We'll come back to Lernerville in September, a track that we talked about last week. Kyle's finished no worse than second in his 6 starts at Lernerville. So um, good track for him tomorrow night, and definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I would imagine the schedule is kind of tailored to his favorite tracks. It seems that way. Grandview, Lernerville, like you said. I think don't they have a Huset's race? I believe
Yeah,
Bridgeport, Lincoln. So Lincoln Park in Indiana, not the Lincoln
yeah,
in Pennsylvania. Gets
Putnamville.
kind of yeah, it gets kind of confusing here and there. A lot of tracks have to share the same name. We've noticed going through since we've been posting schedules and stuff. But yeah, just a lot of great tracks for Kyle. A lot of opportunities. Hopefully he'll claim that championship in his series at the end of the year. It's looking good. He's on a roll, so only time will tell. We'll see tomorrow how we'll go, and as always, everyone keep track with the Twitter. Larsonland always providing live updates on Twitter, especially for all the dirt events. So keep an eye out for that. Post notifications. Pretty much just Twitter. Threads just died. I think we've kind of established that at this point. I think everyone's kind of done with that. There's some more Twitter controversy going on about a rebrand, like renaming it to X or something.
Yeah, I
I
saw.
don't
I
know.
opened my Twitter today and I saw that on my desktop. It was like an X or something there. I was like, what is what is going
Yeah,
on?
I don't know if it's like Elon trolling with it or not, but like everyone seems pretty like worried about it because saying it'll kill Twitter again. So
Uh,
maybe we'll all reload threads for a day until they throw it back to Twitter after like 24 hours or so. But I don't know. They just need to keep Twitter as is and don't change it.
yeah, I I don't know anymore. Twitter's a crazy place, but definitely we got a lot of good supporters there. And speaking of that, like do have to mention like after last week's podcast and like the controversy that happened over Baps, we got a lot of support from not only like our fans but Larson fans and just racing fans in general backing us up for the whole deal that happened with Baps posting. That Kyle was going to be racing there before it was officially confirmed, and huge thank you to all those people that backed us up. When I talked to Kyle's parents at Baps on Wednesday night, I wasn't sure whether Kyle and them were kind of frustrated at us for what happened or whether they were okay with it. And it seemed like everybody was okay with what happened, and really nobody was frustrated with our schedule posts and. Really, just people not reading the stars and pointing out those races. So, we'll be more aware of what is going on with that stuff in the future. Maybe we won't do the maybe races anymore, but nonetheless, super thankful for all of our supporters.
Yeah, that was like the first time in a long time since we put like the unconfirmed on the thing, and
Yeah.
it just obviously blew up. And then I saw one tweet, once it was established that Larson was racing at Babs, the Babs guy kind of threw like a little shot. They like quote tweeted Larson's tweet of him saying he won't be there with his car. I don't know. I guess Babs is just salty about the whole situation, but
Mhm.
didn't get him the next night. He did not go race Babs the next night.
I thought that
It
was
was great.
funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny, but bad from a marketing standpoint, especially when you're kind of going at a guy that runs his own sprint car series and like he's trying to find tracks to race at. I don't know, maybe not the best idea, but yeah, thanks to everyone for supporting us. Larsonland stood tall against Babs and all the haters coming at us over the week. So and like you said, it's nice to know that Larson and all his guys aren't mad at us for that. They're kind of on our side in the situation, but ultimately just chalks it down to people not reading everything correctly. So probably gonna have to change that in the future, like you said. Maybe we just won't put them anymore.
Yep, I think that's going to be the case moving forward. We just want to avoid all the controversy at all costs. So, um, looking forward to Grandview coming up tomorrow night. Richmond for NASCAR. Obviously, Kyle won there earlier in the year, his first win of the season. Gonna be a good race there. Hopefully he has just as much pace as he did the week before. But other than that, I think that's pretty much everything I have for today, Dylan. Unless you had anything.
No, that should pretty much wrap it up. Thanks everyone for the support as always. We really appreciate it. Hit 5K on Instagram. I don't know if I covered it in the last podcast, but 5K on Instagram, 10K on Twitter. That what I was just talking about. That kind of blew up our Twitter. We hit
We
4K
hit
on Twitter.
4K. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got like what 300 or some followers from that. I don't know. We got a
Yeah.
ton, but yeah, blew up on Twitter, 4K on Twitter. YouTube's doing pretty well, so appreciate everyone as always, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
Yep, and speaking of our YouTube, we'll have a on location video from Pocono. All of the clips and stuff I got from there, probably going up either late tonight or sometime tomorrow. So if you're watching this podcast, we'll probably put a link to that after the fact, and make sure you go check out that video once it comes out. Turn on post notifications on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please follow our podcast so you don't miss a thing. Have a great rest of the week, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.